right, hello teachers, and it's good to see you today. We are going through Exploring the Bible Session 12, our lesson on Ruth. We finished the book of Judges, and we're moving on to the book of Ruth. But important to note, Ruth is a story that takes place in Israel in the time of Judges. So Ruth and Naomi and all that are involved here, this is sort of at the end of the book of Judges. It's not too far away from when we get into the period of Israel's history where there are kings, but we're, again, Ruth's right there in the middle of Judges. We're going to be doing two lessons on the book of Ruth. This week we're really focusing more on Naomi, Ruth's mother-in-law, and then the next lesson, session 13, we're going to be looking at Ruth and that relationship she had with Boaz, who becomes her husband. And so we'll focus more on Ruth and Boaz next week, and this week we're looking more at Naomi. And when you look at Naomi's life, the lesson we get from her really has to do with difficulty. This is a lady who has faced great difficulty. It's in the book of Judges. It's a season of drought and famine in the land, and so her husband Elimelech leads Naomi and her sons to go to the country of Moab, searching for sustenance, for food, for survival. But it's while they are in Moab that their two sons marry Moabite wives, and which one of is Ruth. And so that is where we find Ruth. Ruth was a Moabite. But Naomi, while she is in the land of Moab, her husband dies, and then sometime later, both of her sons die. And so this Jewish woman is left in a foreign land with two foreign daughters-in-law that she is living with, and she's faced difficulty. We're going to see here in a minute that she's struggling under the weight of difficulty. And so that's why her story is so important to us, because we're going to face difficulty. You yourself or your class, your students, they are either in a difficulty, coming out of a difficulty, or about to go into a difficulty. Life is challenging, and we need to know how to face it. Our objective statement is every believer can face times of difficulty by living in the light of three realities. And so the first reality we're going to see today is times of difficulty are inevitable. And let's pick up in Ruth chapter 1, verses 11 through 15. Naomi said, "Turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, if I should say, I have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them till they are grown? Would you stay from them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me." And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, "Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law." So here we see this just very sad story. Again, Naomi has lost her husband and her sons. She is left with her two daughter-in-laws. And basically she says, I have no ability to provide a husband for you. I can't have children. That would take too long. And I'm out of resources. And I think the best plan for you is to leave me. Go back to your homes. And she says really there in verse 13, she says, the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. So Naomi is in the midst of a very difficult season. One thing that helps us face difficulty and trial is knowing that difficulty is inevitable. Seasons of loss are going to happen. We don't live forever. Our loved ones are going to pass away. Bad things can happen, and we need to be prepared for it. We live in a sin-cursed world where, again, bad things happen. And we need to expect that those kind of things happen. We need to be prepared for difficulty, kind of like an insurance policy. Sometimes as Americans, it's very easy to have a false sense of reality and think that life is always going to be about ease and comfort. Or we can even, there's churches that preach what we call a prosperity gospel, and that basically that if you have enough faith, you will always be blessed and God will provide abundantly, and basically try to convince you that you can live a life without difficulty, but that's not true. Even Jesus said that in this world, you will face difficulty. And so that's very important to note, that when difficulty comes, it doesn't blindside us. It doesn't shock us. We are prepared for it. Many times the way you handle a season of difficulty will depend on what kind of relationship you have with God before you get into the difficulty. And so it's very important that we understand difficulty can come at any time, and we're prepared for it by having a close relationship with the Lord. May it never be that we would say that the hand of the Lord is against us, to somehow accuse God of turning against us, or that he's not good. At any moment, God is a good God. And so we need to realize that he's not the evil one. He has good plans for us but just again, living in a sin-cursed world, times of difficulty are going to come. The second reality that we see, though, for facing difficulty is that fellowship and encouragement are crucial. Pick up in verse 16, it says, "And Ruth said, 'Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me.' And when she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her." So again, reality number 2 is fellowship and encouragement are crucial. This is a very famous verse in Ruth 1:16, where Ruth says, "Entreat me not to leave thee." Don't let me stay with you. Let me become a part of you, your family. I want your God to be my God. I want to die where you die. I will be with you. Again, Ruth recognizes the importance that Naomi doesn't need to be alone, that they need each other. They need fellowship and encouragement. Again, that's a big challenge to us. Sometimes when we face difficulty, the tendency is to isolate, to hold things in, and to even like in a church situation, sometimes you're going through a difficulty. That's when it's easy to get out of church and not be faithful in attendance. But what we see from Naomi is that encouragement and fellowship are necessary. They're very important. The last reality we see, though, in the life of Naomi is that God's provision is always available. And in chapter 2, we pick up and we look in verse 5. It says, "Then said Boaz unto his servant that was set over the reapers, Whose damsel is this? And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, It is the Moabitish damsel that cometh back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. And she said, I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and hath continued even from the morning until now, that she tarried a little in the house. Then said Boaz unto Ruth, Hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? And when thou art athirst, go into the vessels, and drink of that which the young men have drawn. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, Why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? And Boaz answered and said unto her, It hath fully been showed me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thine husband, and how that thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come into a people which thou knowest not heretofore. The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. Here we pick up this final reality. God's provision is always available. God is going to provide for Ruth and Naomi. Naomi has come up with this plan to send Ruth into the field of a relative, Boaz, a wealthy man, to go and glean and to gather food for them to eat and survive. And Boaz meets this young lady, hears about her story of leaving her homeland to come and support Naomi. And through Boaz, God is going to provide. We see there in verse 12 at the end, Ruth has come to put her trust in God. And through that trust, through everything that she has done, God is going to use Ruth to provide for Naomi. Again, though, in seasons of life when difficulty comes, it's very easy to get bitter at the Lord, to take your eyes off of Him. It's very easy to isolate from people and not have that fellowship. But the story is very clear. God's provision is always available. And just by coming to the Lord, trusting in Him, putting your trust in Him through salvation, and then walking with Him, God has a way. The psalmist says that he has never seen the righteous forsaken or begging for bread. God is always able to provide. He's working behind the scenes. He's a sovereign God. He's controlling our circumstances in ways that we never know and cannot see to provide for us. And that's how we face difficulty. Again, knowing that difficulty is going to come, being prepared for it, keeping a close relationship with the Lord so that when it does come, we're on a good foundation. Also knowing, number two, that when difficulty comes, we need fellowship, we need encouragement. And then finally, when difficulty comes, we can trust that God's provision is always available. So again, there's a lot to apply there. A great lesson for the Sunday. Again, we're using our new lesson format. I encourage you, like I did last week, start off, read the text, read the entire book of Ruth 1 through 4 in your prep time. Start with the text, then go to our outline, read through that. If you feel like you're wanting a little more commentary or need some questions answered, then go to this book, and I think you'll feel ready and comfortable to teach on Sunday. All right, well, we'll be praying, and God bless.